Hey guys, welcome back to AKFPL. This is the Game Week 31 preview. We'll go through how my team did in Game Week 30 and then we'll look at what my plans are for Game Week 31. So Game Week 30, I scored 68 points, which was really good considering only 10 of my players actually got me points. So it was almost like I played with just 10 players for this game week. So I had one free transfer, which was Martinez to Mendy. So let's go through my team. Start at the back. I brought Mendy in. He scored 0 points. So I don't think anyone expected West Brom to beat Chelsea, and that too to score 5 goals. So in terms of what I'm thinking about the Chelsea defence, I'm still pretty optimistic about their chances going forward. I'm going to consider this to be a bit of a freak result, coming off the back of an international break. Everyone's, got a little bit rusty. So I am now a bit more conscious of doubling up on their defence, especially given that they rotate through their squad. So for now, I'm sticking to just one. But I'll talk about what my plans are with regards to transfers after this week. And we'll see how they get along in the Champions League as well. Because if they look, like back to their normal defensive self in the Champions League, they're putting up another clean sheet, then I don't think there's much to worry there. Going into my backline, I had Ruben Dias, who got me 6 points. And again, we saw Pep Roulette striking again for Stones and Cancelo owners. And that's just likely to keep going until the end of the season. So last game week, I took out Gundogan and Cancelo because I just couldn't imagine them getting regular minutes anymore. So I'm happy to just keep Diaz. Man City is still looking very solid at the back, still going to keep continuing to get those clean sheets. So I'm happy with that. I've got Dallas, who got me 2 points. That was disappointing because against Sheffield United, I was really hoping Leeds were going to keep a clean sheet there. And then Cresswell returns 1 point. So again, he hasn't really returned for me since I bought him in the last game week. So West Ham are looking to be in really good form at the moment, pushing for a top 4 finish. They've only got the league to play for, so I think he could be really good going forward. Moving on to the midfield, I had Rafinha, who got an assist and a bonus point, and he's turning out to be such a good 5th midfield option for my team. And he's got a few tricky fixtures coming up, but I'm actually happy to just hold on to him for now, potentially until the end of the season. And then Lingard, my star player, gets 12 points. What a transfer he's been. 2 double-digit hauls in a row since I bought him in for Gundogan, and it's turning out to be a very, very good transfer. It's just looking like a completely different player ever since coming to West Ham. So I'm very happy to keep him on my team. Looking forward to seeing what he can do for the rest of the season as well. I think those who had Antonio were going to feel disappointed because he came off injured after, I think it was in the first half. But I think if you've got Antonio and you're looking to take him out, I think Lingard's a really good choice to get. Elsewhere in my midfield, I've got Fernandes, who scored 5 points. And I'm sort of glad because his effective ownership in my rank was more than 100%. So I actually needed Fernandes to do badly or even blank this week in order to gain rank. So he got 5 points. That's okay. It wasn't too much damage done on my end, so that was fine. Son got 1 point. Really disappointed again, as I thought he was going to start. I mean, Mourinho made it out in the press conference as if he was completely fit to play again. And then for him to come on at half-time and not do anything meant that it blocked Salah coming off my bench. So that was quite frustrating on my end, but can't complain too much. I was always going to play Son in this game. Moving on to my forward line, Calvert-Lewin, blank 2 points. And for me, he needs to go fairly soon. He's quite expensive, 7.6, so he's just not returning as often as he needs to. And the only reason I had him this long was because I thought Everton were going to get a double game week after the blank game week. But that still hasn't happened, and we're not going to know when that's going to happen anytime soon. It's probably going to happen later on in the season. So he's not a priority transfer for me right now, but he's going to go. And I'll talk more on that on my transfers later on. I can always bring him back later for the double game week if I need to. And then I had Kane, who scored 26 points, and I'm very happy with that. Happy that I got my captaincy right, because I was deciding between Kane and Bruno, but I think against a weak opposition, you're always going to have to back Kane in. And then Watkins, the unsung hero of my game week, gets 7 points, and he got a goal in the last minutes of the game and stole the bonus point off Martinez. So what a hero Watkins is. I'll talk more on Watkins when I go through my transfers next, because I think I might just keep him in my squad for a bit longer, at least till game week 33, where Villa have got a good fixture against West Brom. So overall 68 points, solid green arrow. Took me from 5.7k to 4.1k, and I checked livefpl.net. I'm about 32 points off the top 1k, so need to keep pushing on. There's only about 8 game weeks left of the season, so not long left. So now let's look ahead to game week 31. So game week 31 doesn't have as many favourable fixtures as game week 30, but let's look at how my team is shaping up. I've got 1 free transfer and 0 million in the bank. In goal, I've got Mendy. He's got a good fixture against Crystal Palace, so I'm hoping the Chelsea defence is going to go back to being solid, and hopefully that's a clean sheet for them there. In defence, at the moment, I've got Target against Liverpool, which is not ideal. I can't see a clean sheet here. I've got Diaz against Leeds, which I think is a decent chance of getting a clean sheet, but to me, I think Leeds can still score against pretty much anyone. I think Man City are going to be the hardest opponents they will find in terms of scoring against, so hopefully that's going to be a clean sheet for Man City. And then I've got Cresswell against Leicester. Again, this could be a bit of a tricky fixture. I don't have high hopes of a clean sheet in this one, but I would hope for an attacking return here for Cresswell. In midfield, I've got Salah against Liverpool. Liverpool look to have regained some form lately, and Salah broke his goal draw against Arsenal, so I'm hoping he can carry on in this game and get some points. Obviously, he's going to be playing in the Champions League as well, so hopefully that's not going to impact him too much. I've got Lingard against Leicester, and Lingard at the moment is just undroppable at the moment, so really confident with him going forward. I've then got Fernandes on Son. They're going to be playing each other, and I've actually got a feeling that this game is going to be a bit of a low-scoring game. So both these managers tend to take the conservative approach in the big games, so I'm not expecting much here for either team. As owners of both Fernandes and Son, all we have to do is just hope that they go on and have a goal fest and they both get points, but I'm not holding my breath on that one. And then moving up front, I've got Calvert-Lewin against Brighton, and on paper that's actually a reasonable fixture, but I just find that Everton are just such a hit and miss team. I just can't really see how this one's going to turn out. This could go either way. Calvert-Lewin could blank again, he could get a brace, I just don't know, but it's not a priority transfer for me right now. I'm happy to play him this week and then make a decision on him the following game week. I've then got Kane against Man U. Again, not expecting much here. 2 teams who are probably just going to cancel out, play very conservative. And then I've got Watkins against Villa. Now, Watkins scored a hat-trick in the reverse fixture earlier in the season. And if Villa finally actually managed to play Jack Grealish and get him back in the team, I actually think they can get something at Liverpool. So I'm playing Watkins because there's no one else really on my bench that can play ahead of Watkins. I'm not going to play Rafinha Dallas. They're playing against Man City. And Dan Burn, I'm not really sure what's happened to him. He's either still injured or he's been dropped from the team. So he's just probably going to get transferred to someone else later on. So my team in general doesn't look amazing for this week. But I think that's going to be the case for a lot of people. Obviously, Man U and Spurs are playing each other. A lot of people have already got Kane, Son and Fernandes. So not much variation in people's teams at the moment. I think if you've got Man City players, then you can probably expect a good result for yourself, especially if you've got the Man City players that aren't going to be playing in the Champions League. So let me just take you through what my transfers are going to be for this week. So at the moment, my defence is looking a bit weak with both Villa and Leeds. Their fixtures are turning. So I'm actually thinking of taking Dallas out for this week for a sub 5 million defender. My first choice is probably going to be Antonio Rudiger. So Rudiger didn't play in the last game. Tuchel said that there were a few players that came back late from the international break, and I think Rudiger was one of them. There was also a reported bust-up between him and Kepa during a training session, but Tuchel came out and said that's all now been resolved. So I'm hoping Rudiger's now going to come back and play. At 4.7, he's a really good budget option. And I would be doubling up on the Chelsea defence, which on their day are the best defence in the league, or at least one of them. He's got the best fixture out of the 3 players I'm considering in game week 31. But there's always going to be a bit of concern with rotation for these Chelsea players. So I think the upside is really high because if Rudiger plays in this game against Palace, I think that could be a double clean sheet for Chelsea. The other player I'm considering to get is Seiss from Wolves. So again, Wolves have the best run of fixtures in the medium term, and the only thing that goes against them is that they haven't been very solid as a defensive team this season. And I think Bolly missed the last game because he was self-isolating from COVID, so obviously without his presence, the defense isn't going to be as good. So Seiss is a player I'm considering. Obviously the defense isn't as good, but he's probably going to be playing every single game. And the last of my options that I'm considering is actually a 4 million defender from Liverpool. That is Nat Phillips. So Nat Phillips, 4 million, super cheap. Played in the last 3 games, 2 clean sheets in the last 2. Really good enabler, actually, for those who are on a budget. So Liverpool, I'd say, have actually got the best run of fixtures up until the end of the season. He's actually really cheap for me to even just do Burn instead to Phillips. So I can even keep Dallas and just get in Phillips for Burn. So that's an option. But out of the 3 players, he's probably got the weakest fixture at the moment. So I'm not sure if I'm going to be getting him in this week. I can always bring in Phillips later on for Burn. And I can do that when Liverpool have finished playing against Villa. Because like I said, I don't think this is the best defensive fixture for Liverpool. So maybe in game week 33 when they're playing Newcastle, I can bring in a Liverpool defender then. So at the moment, I am leaning towards the Rudiger move. I think I'm going to wait for the midweek Champions League fixtures and then decide before the deadline who I'm going to go with. Moving on to the captaincy for this week, there's no standout option that I have, at least in my team. So this could be a good time for you to try something different. If I look at my team, the only player who on paper has a decent fixture is Salah. So that's who I'm going to go with. If you have the likes of a Man City attacker like Kevin De Bruyne, Mahrez or Sterling, these are really good options, but you need to factor in the Champions League fixtures around this game. So players could miss out or have their minutes managed. But the upside is high. As you can see, Man City scoring quite a few against Leeds. And it's just a shame because they've got such good players, but as actual FPL assets, they're becoming very unreliable. And we've seen the likes of Cancelo and Gundogan just not getting enough games because they're having to prioritise their minutes in other competitions. So I'm personally going to go with Salah. I think other captaincies for this week, if you've got players like Lacazette against Sheffield, or maybe even a Chelsea player like Mason Mount, you know, those are differential picks that you could go for. Obviously, Chelsea, they're prone to rotation as well, so that's probably a bit risky. Aside from that, a few of you have also requested a Game Week 31 wildcard draft. So I've put together a squad of players who I would pick if I still had my wildcard left. So in goal, I've got Mendy and Forster. Forster at 4 million is a no-brainer as Southampton still have a double game week left. And to get a playing keeper at that price is just golder, so definitely get him in. I think Mendy is still the most nailed in the Chelsea backline, so I'd go with him as my goalkeeper. In defence, I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold. Huge points potential for him. He's expensive, but you have to almost think of him as essentially being a midfielder. He's got great fixtures up until the end of the season. I've then got Rudiger. So again, great value for a top defence. He's a bit rotation prone, but with these defenders in this backline, you've got good squad depth. So even if Rudiger does miss out, you've always got a good defender coming in for him. And you've always got Mendy, who's providing like Chelsea defence. Shaw, I think, is again really good value, very attacking player. And Man U have a good number of fixtures till the end of the season. So a few of those, I can see Shaw getting quite a good set of returns in. For example, against Burnley, maybe even Fulham, Wolves, potentially against Villa. So I think Shaw is a great option. And I've got Fofana here as a Leicester defender because, again, I think as a medium-term pick, Leicester have absolutely great fixtures and they even play in the blank game week in 33. And he's probably the best bet to get in the Leicester backline. Obviously, Justin's injured. There's not much else you can go for there. Ricardo Pereira is just too injury prone. So is Castagna. So I'd go with Fofana. And then my last defender in the backline would be Diaz. Happy to keep him. Very solid, very nailed. City are just going to keep getting clean sheets. So I can still imagine him playing pretty much every game until the end of the season. And then if we look at midfield, I've got Salah in there purely because of fixtures that Liverpool have. And he's just scored again. So I think if he can pick up form, there's a lot of fixtures from now until the end of the season where I would consider captaining Salah. So he's a must in the wild card. I've got Lingard there. And like I mentioned before, West Ham are pushing for that top 4 spot, and Lingard has just been on absolutely exceptional form. So a lot of people might not have him on their wildcard draft, but I really like him. Obviously, there's news that Declan Rice is injured. Antonio went off in the last game, so we're yet to see how that's going to affect West Ham and Lingard, but we saw how good he was in the last game when Antonio went off as well. So I would really keep him in my wildcard. And then obviously Fernandes is in there. Effective ownership aside, he's got some really good fixtures coming up, and there are definitely fixtures in the next 8 where I would consider captaining Fernandes, like against Burnley, against Leeds, Fulham, Wolves. So definitely going to be keeping him. Son is, for me, just a season keeper. When he plays, he just gets really good points. And Spurs have a double game week in 32, so obviously you'd want Son and Kane in that fixture. And even for the rest of the season, they're actually pretty good, their fixtures. And then my last pick in my midfield is Jota. So he's going to be a really popular pick for those who are wildcarding. Really good value at 6.8. He actually looks like Liverpool's best player right now. There's maybe some concern about rotation, especially if Liverpool stay in the Champions League. But I think with the fixtures that Liverpool have, he's a really, really good option to go for. So I would definitely get Jota in my wildcard draft. And then up front is probably where I've got a bit of a headache, because now if you're going with a squad, or at least picking similar players to this, if I had this wildcard team, I would probably be playing 3-5-2 almost every week, because I've gone fairly cheap up front. I've got Iheanacho, who is again a medium-term pick purely because of Leicester's fixtures. So I'd happily play him in these 4 fixtures here from 32 to 35. But the only thing about him is that I'm not sure how Leicester are going to shape up once Maddison's back in the team. But if he keeps his place up front alongside Vardy, then I think he's a great pick. I think when him and Vardy play up top, Vardy is more of the supply striker and Iheanacho is more of the finisher. So I think he really does benefit when Vardy's playing alongside him. So I would go the Iheanacho. Keep your eyes on how Leicester shape up when Maddison's back in the team. I've got Kane as my second striker. Obviously, you'll be playing him pretty much every week. He's got double game week coming up as well. And then as my last striker, I've just gone with a 4.2 bench fodder option, Keenan Davis. He does get the odd minute now and then, but he'll probably be your third bench option pretty much every week. So yeah, that's my wildcard draft. Let me know what you think about it, and I hope it's been useful. So I'll leave it there, guys. To sum up, I'll be making a defensive transfer this week. It's probably going to be getting one of Rudiger, Nat Phillips, or Roman Sison for Game Week 31. My captaincy is going to be on Salah. Speaking about the channel, we're getting closer to 100 subscribers now, so if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and comment if you have any questions you want me to answer about your team. I hope you guys all have a great game week, and I'll see you all in the next video.